New look, new name, it's the same show. Welcome aboard, everyone. It's Donovan and Dino. Half of the show is not here tonight. Jim Donovan's got the night off. Jay Crawford is here. We are brought to you by Master Pizza. We'll talk more about Master Pizza in a second. But, Jay, I appreciate you stopping by here on the first night of the Donovan and Dino show after we were the postgame show for the last 2 years.
Glad to do it.
Yes, I appreciate it. Good to see you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to have you up here because everybody, I think, is still in overreaction, crazy mode, coming off of the Browns and losing Sunday night, and the disappointment because there was so much about this, being back on Sunday night for the first time in 11 years. But as you've had some chance to kind of process things and think about it, where are you kind of with the Browns now on Tuesday?
Well, let me say, I was also emotional in the moment. Right after the loss, I'm leaving the stadium going, wait, so we ran when we absolutely should have thrown.
Yes.
And then 4 times we threw when we absolutely should have ran. So I was in the moment. I was like, wait a minute, what is going on here?
Yeah.
This is stuff that we did the last 20 years. But really, in kind of stepping back and letting time be sometimes the clear lens that it can be. Here's the facts. We are 1 win away Sunday night from being in first place.
Yeah.
Look, you're at the quarter pole of the season. A lot can still happen. And I understand that the schedule is very, very difficult moving forward. But I don't think it's, people should be standing on the bridge here in despair. Freddie clearly is in the midst of a growing learning curve, but he's going to figure it out. He's a smart enough guy, and this team will figure it out. I have no doubt they're going to figure it out. I'm not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I think, when we're at week 12, let's reassess and see if we're in the playoff discussion. And if we're not, then we need to figure out why and go get those pieces in the next draft and free agency period to make sure that this time next year we are.
With the Browns at around that quarter pole now as we get ready for week 4, when you think about the offense, and I asked this yesterday morning when we did After Further Review, what concerns you the most, Jay? Is it a leaky offensive line?
Yes.
Is it Baker Mayfield maybe doing too much and being a little frazzled, or is it the way the games are being called and Freddie maybe just still trying to get adjusted to being the head coach?
I think it's the first. It's the leaky offensive line, because I think the second two are a byproduct of the first one. If the offensive line isn't performing as poorly as they are, then Baker, we're not asking all these questions of Baker.
Right.
So the reason Baker looks shaky is because the offensive line is, if I had to grade it out at this point of the season, they're an F.
Yeah.
And they're not a D+, they're not a D-. They're an F.
They're an F.
And
yeah.
I honestly, to get to that point, you have to be glaringly bad. The fact that the Browns actually won a game, and I know it was against a team in a similar circumstance, is astounding to me.
Right.
Because this offensive line is historically bad.
Yes.
And all you got to do is watch the Rams game over again. All that being said, terrific defensive front. They get after quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They make a lot of offensive lines look pedestrian.
Yes.
But that doesn't excuse the fact that we are in the midst of a historically bad offensive line. I wish Joe Thomas had been born 12 years later.
Yes, me
because
too.
It's amazing what one stalwart, particularly at the anchor spot on that line, can do. Hides a lot of warts.
If they could do it all over again, do you think they would not trade Kevin Zeitler?
I would hope that they would not have. Here's the problem with the fan base cheers mightily, dancing in the streets, when you sign an OBJ or when you trade for an OBJ.
Yes.
You'll never see that kind of reaction when they sign a left tackle.
No.
Not sexy?
Nope.
But this is true. I know a lot of things about football to be not true that we think are true. The one thing that is always true 100% of the time, and if you talk to any football coach on either side of the line, they will tell you that. The games are won in the trenches, period. You don't have an offensive line, you can't run the ball, you can't throw the ball. There's nothing else.
Right.
So you have to win the point of attack. And right now, offensively, we are losing at the point of attack 9 out of 10 snaps.
Yes.
You can't win football games
No,
that way.
I mean
you can't do it.
Yeah, I mean it's a wonder maybe that they are 0-3 because of that. I mean it's the fact that they were able to beat the Jets. Jeremy says, and he wants us to react to this. I was dumbfounded when the Browns decided to run a draw on that 4th and 9. We have the weapons. Why not use them?
I literally looked on the sidelines and said, "Is Eric Metcalf and Bill Belichick down there?"
Yeah, exactly.
This looks familiar. Dino, I'm sure you guys talked about this. I have a lot of friends at ESPN Stats and Info, and I confirmed what Jake Trotter tweeted
Yes.
during the game. Going back to 2007,
When every play has been
video
charted. Yeah.
So ESPN literally can type a down and distance into a computer, and they can tell you how often a particular play is run.
That's amazing.
So if it's 1st and 10, they can tell you that 51% of the times in that scenario, teams run the football. If it's 2nd and 13, they can tell you that 77% of the time, teams throw the football. If it's 4th and 9 or greater, 100% of the time, teams have thrown the football.
Right.
This was the first time in 12 years that a coach decided to call a run play. Now, there's something about that play that I want to point out. And I don't know this to be true or not because I wasn't in the locker room and I wasn't able to ask this question. I was at the game, so I had to go back and look at the play. In real time, it appeared to me as if Baker checked out of the original play call. I don't know that to be true or not, but I did go back and watch it, and Baker is calling some barks at the line.
Interesting.
So, and if that's the case, Freddie would protect his quarterback and would never say that, yeah, I didn't call that play. My quarterback checked into that play. But what I saw appeared to be Baker at the line. Yeah, now you can go back and look at it. I'm sure it's on YouTube. It looked like it, but I don't know. I don't know what their verbiage is. He may have called 2 plays in the huddle, and when he got to the line, there was a code for one play and a code for the other, and maybe he did call for, I don't know. I'm not sure. But it appeared to me that there was some kind of signal being barked out.
Yes.
And, the play was what it was.
People, as they've looked at that sequence, I think there's something that is missed. And I don't think it's not a big part of that, not as certainly as controversial as running a draw on 4th and 9, but on the 2nd down play, the Browns got called for an illegal shift, but at the same time, I think it was Ricky Seals-Jones got pushed out of bounds, and it would have been able to be reviewed with the new pass interference penalty, and assuming, and if the guys on NBC thought that would have been called, it would have been offsetting penalties, and the Browns could have gotten basically that 2nd down over again.
Right.
And you essentially, in that sequence, get an extra down.
Yeah. Now, in Freddie's defense, all of that's true. In Freddie's defense, here's what I think is going on with that rule. The officials in the New Orleans Rams game last year, NFC Championship, clearly missed the most blatant pass interference call that we've ever seen not be called.
Yes.
If you show that play to 1,000 high school referees, 1,000 of them throw the flag.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
Yes.
The league knew it messed up, and that call sent the wrong team to the Super Bowl, essentially. So they had to do something. So they put this rule in to appease all of the Saints fans and all the people screaming, we can't believe our eyes. We're not, if the wrong team is advancing to the biggest game of the year because of the officials, this is a problem.
Yes.
So they put this new rule in. What we've seen in the early going is the officials are sticking to the call on the field an inordinate percentage of time. And I say that because early in the game, the Browns game, the Browns were guilty of a pass interference.
Yes, they were.
That was not called.
Yes.
And Sean McVay threw his challenge flag, and they looked at it, and I'm sitting in the stands looking at that saying, this is 1,000% going to be overturned. That's pass interference. But I said...
And I rewound it on my DVR, and I did the same thing.
If they don't, this to me proves that the officials are going to basically say, to hell with that new rule. We're going to stick with our call unless it is Saints-Rams worthy. So to
unless
me...
the game's on, a game season
is on the line.
Yeah.
And so to me, Dino, the message has already been sent to these coaches. Don't challenge it because you're going to lose the challenge.
Good point.
And I think Freddie's looking at that and saying, there's no doubt that's pass interference. He put 2 hands on the receiver and shoved him out of bounds. The ball wasn't even near him yet.
Yeah.
That's the definition of pass interference. You impeded the receiver from catching the football. But the message from the officials through 3 weeks is, go ahead and wave that flag. That might as well be an invisible flag instead of a red one, because we're not going to overturn these calls.
And if it's not overturned, the Browns then lose a timeout.
And Freddie basically said to me, that timeout is more valuable than a down when we already know we have 2 more downs left. Let's just get it on 3rd and 4th and not worry about it.
Right.
Hindsight, we always, look.
And it's easy to do. I realize it is easy to do.
Well, you have the benefit of knowing the results.
Right.
In the moment, I was screaming, please throw the challenge flag. Please. At least roll the dice. Because that's one more call that the officials are going to have to apologize for on Tuesday.
Yes.
If you don't get that call right.
Yes.
And clearly it was pass interference. Again, you could show that play to 1,000 high school officials, and they would all tell you that's pass interference. So this is a league problem. I don't think it's a Freddie problem. It's a league problem.
If you're John Dorsey, are you keeping the Redskins on speed dial for Trent Williams between now and the trade deadline? I don't know if Washington, how antsy they are. And
with each loss of the Redskins, they're close to where the Dolphins are.
Right.
We're throwing in the towel, and we'll start thinking about next year. But the problem with that, Dino, is if you do it now I understand it's putting water on a burning house.
Right.
Many fans are going to say, why did you let the fire start in the first place? Why didn't you go make that deal before the Redskins were going to, with each loss that all of these teams that need an offensive line, which is basically 20, the price for the Redskins goes up. So now you're in a disadvantage if you're John Dorsey and you make that deal because you're desperate. They know you're desperate. And I think with each loss, the asking price goes up. So it's a dilemma. Do you at least start to put out the fire before the building burns down and take the heat for letting the fire start in the first place? My answer to that would be yes. But you can't give away the farm.
No.
We've given away some picks, and we're at the point now. Everyone thinks that the window is huge because Baker's young and our team is young. The window is far shorter than people think. The recipe for winning a Super Bowl, if you're not the New England Patriots, is to win with a rookie quarterback contract.
Yes.
Like the Seahawks did with Russell Wilson. The Rams last year got to the Super Bowl with Goff, who is still on a rookie deal.
Cam Newton, I think,
was able to do it
on the rookie contract and got them to the Super Bowl.
Russell hasn't been back.
Yeah.
Cam hasn't been back. So this window that fans seem to think is 5 years is maybe 2 or 3, and we're in year one. So you might have next year and the following year where you really better strike. And offensive linemen don't grow on trees.
If you don't understand what Jay's talking about, think about where the Dallas Cowboys are. I mean, they already went through with Ezekiel Elliott, and Dak Prescott's going to want to get paid. Cooper's going to want to get paid more.
They're going to get paid.
Right.
And you're going to see the Cowboys try to figure out a way to stretch all of these salaries. And what they do is you start skimping at the positions that really matter.
Right.
Offensive line, pass rushers.
Right. Cornerback.
So it's really difficult these days, and this is what the league likes, by the way. It's really difficult these days to build a team that's relevant more than 3 years. That's why when you look at what Bill and Tom have done in New England, I'm here to tell you that as we sit here, we don't appreciate that enough. It will be looked upon 30 years from now, and historians will look back and say, we still don't know how they pulled that off. We don't know how they pulled it off. Because outside of Tom and Bill, it's a revolving door at every other position. The wide receivers, you can list 14 different wide receivers that were on their Super Bowl teams.
I mean, are there any Hall of Famers? I mean, Gronkowski, who just retired, I would say would
is
be
a likely Hall of Famer.
But
outside of that, they're top receivers.
In this run of 3 Super Bowls in this decade, zero.
Insane. They have found a way to do it, and I think a lot of that has to do with the perfect combination of quarterback and coach. And they make it work. And I don't think the average sports fan appreciates that enough. Every time I'm seeing something in sports that I can look at and say, I can't understand how this is happening, whether I like that team or not, I have to sit back and say, I'm going to enjoy this because I may never see anything like this again. I wish it was happening here. But what they're doing in New England and what they've done for the last 2 decades will go down as one of the all-time great long-term accomplishments in the history of sports.
In any sport, at any
baseball,
time.
basketball, because I'm telling you, to stay relevant for 3 years in the NFL is remarkable.
Yes.
And to a certain degree, I got to look at Pittsburgh, who I've always considered New England light.
Yes.
If not for Tom and Bill, Ben probably has 4 or 5 rings.
Agreed.
So what they've been able to do is nothing short of miraculous.
Yeah.
But Browns fans have to understand that this window is only this wide open for a very short period of time, and you've got to figure out these problems quickly because they're not going away.
Because fans will say, "Boy, we've got so much room under the salary cap."
Yeah.
Watch how quick that goes when Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield all need new contracts.
And it's coming sooner than we want to think.
Yep, my friend.
Always good, Dino.
Great to have you.
Always good.
Jay Crawford, our first guest on Donovan and Dino, brought to you by Master Pizza. Reminder, log into Master Pizza on your smartphone, download the app, and start earning pizza points today. That's Master Pizza. Taste above all. All right, back with you for more tomorrow as we start getting ready for the Browns and the Ravens. For Jay Crawford, I'm Dave DiNatale. Thanks for watching Donovan and Dino right here on Facebook Live and also on YouTube. We're out.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Oh, absolutely.
You drive a good conversation.
We tried.
Really well done. Yeah, I'm sure that's why he didn't challenge it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Certainly.
Yeah, that's like,
he has seen the trend through the season, and he saw on the jumbotron at the game that's pass interference.
Yeah.
And
They're not going to call it. They're not going to call it.
You're going to have to mug somebody.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're not.